today. Listen, I know once again it's another rough title, but as most of y'all know, I'm about awareness and knowledge. Um, really to save mankind. I have my personal vendettas against certain people that have tried to kill off whole races of people. The Israeli for the Palestinians, the New World Order for wanting to kill off the black man, the United States federal government for killing off the Indian, turning all these groups of proud people into controlled populations. But a lot of people don't know my reason for this, or completely understand my reason for it. My number one reason is I love my brother. And I think that we can stop a lot of this through knowing the real enemy. And that's very important to me. For some reason, I don't think that we all understand who the true real enemy is. Um, and that's what I strive to prove to y'all. As a Southern white man, especially an older Southern white man, I am instantly stereotyped with my appearance, with the way I talk, the region I come from, the color of my skin, all of that. My bloodline, everything points me right into the direction of being what's known as the white nationalist supremacist hater out there. And I'm the furthest thing from it. And I've gone all my life having to face this, but I've also gone all my life being lucky enough and having the honor to be raised around all different types and groups of people, all races of people. I was raised around poor country people, and there does seem to be a better lifestyle than that, a more accepting of your brother type lifestyle, understanding the role of the mother and the woman type lifestyle, an understanding of community and communicating, and how individual pockets of tribes of people wind up making communities, and those communities make towns, and those towns make states or regions and counties, and those make states, and those make regions, and that was life to me. It's a lot simpler than the life that I see going on around. But also living with primarily mostly black poor folks and Cherokee poor folks. They took care of me and I took care of them. So I care about them. And they just so happened to be what's called black as I got older and was told that I was this and they were that and everybody's this, that, and the other. So it broke my heart to find out, number one, that I was different from them, not that they was different from me. So you need to get that part straight, because I was a little kid and I saw where love came from, and I saw where real courage came from too, by the way. So I just want to get this part straight before I break out some really rough statistics, and I'm probably going to be a little bit rough on you. So I want you to know, first of all, that I love you, because I was raised with you, since we're going to separate things, and that I'm here as a brother, because the knowledge that I try to give to you comes from your own people, men like Dick Gregory. I'm going to tell you something. Dick Gregory is probably one of the biggest heroes to me. He's rough around the collar and he speaks his mind straight up. But he tells you things, and he has the inside information as um, being around all the type of people. He don't emulate anybody. He's himself. He's always being Dick Gregory, because he knows that that's all he can be. He also speaks of the universal God and the universe as being a power source. So that part, I wish he'd really pay attention when he talks. But when he tells you what's going on, really listen. And one thing we really need to talk about, because I've seen it and I try to point out, I've been pointing out the population statistics primarily of Black America here for the longest time. I noticed it myself several years back, and I kind of looked back at it and I was like, wow. I mean, the rumors, the word on the street, that what everybody thinks about America is that poor black folks just sit around in urban projects and in housing projects and get rich off the white people's money by having babies to get tax breaks. So that would mean there'd be all these babies everywhere. You'd see little black babies everywhere, and and that population would grow. That's my point. If you set it up to grow and to almost like raise human beings, coddle them and give them food and shelter and everything to live by, it seemed that population would flourish. But it's exactly the opposite. In fact, it mostly stays about the same. Here in 2015, it jumped up somewhere between 12.9% and 13.1%, if I'm not mistaken. Um, So I really was like, wow, it's just every 5 years, it's somewhere around. Really, y'all look at it, look it up from about 11 to where we are, right like I said now, right around 13%. And that's the whole population of the United States of America, 330 million Americans. So that's roughly about 40 million black folks. And and some people would say, well, it stays that way for this reason or that reason, but no, it goes completely against the stereotypical lie, right? See, somebody sees somebody black, they're automatically got 6 kids and wearing out the tax system and wearing out the welfare system. Well, the welfare system, by the way, y'all, I'm just gonna throw this in there for a quick factoid. It's actually way more, way over half is white people, but the population of America is 77%. So the number of people, which is roughly a little over 10% in America, that get any kind of assistance from EBT or welfare or anything, matches the population statistics of America. A little bit out of balance, but not that much. Also, the abortion statistics, that's because that's going to be an important part of this. They're actually about 40% white and roughly a little under 40% black women, and that doesn't match the population statistics, and that doesn't match how you can procreate to carry on your race. Strength in numbers, that kind of thing, doing the math. Because we're going to do some math on that 12.9% that Dick Gregory pointed out. That, and when he said it, I had to stop my damn video and just stop. I sat back for a minute and I said, wow, man, to know one part of the lie, to see the outside of the lie, but then have another brother or sister or another elder show me the inside workings of the lie. Man, it blew my mind. So here's my first warning to you. I want you to pay attention to that. Let's just say it's 12.9%, because I did all my math off of that. All right. 4% of that, and even 4% of that, is black men. So I would assume that's black adult age men. 6% of that, actually roughly about 6.1% of that, I was going by Gregory's statistics and I looked them up myself. 6% of that is black women of adult age. Now, that's 6% of America and 4% of America, and this is up to 12.9%. Now, I know they've been teaching that Common Core math, and so I'm going to give you the quick version. That would be roughly 10% of the 12.9%. That leaves 2.9%, roughly 3% of your population, Black America, is your children. That don't does that seem right to you? That over the larger parts of your population are adults? I mean, who's going to come after you? Who's going to be the black doctor after you? Who's going to be the black lawyer after you? Who's going to be anything Black America after you? Now, to stop right there, you got to look at what's really killing you. And I'm not going to get down to social issues. I'm not going to say, oh, you're killing yourself, you're doing it, killing each other. That's some bullshit. Every race of people, white, it don't matter what race you are, white, black, Latino, it don't matter, anywhere in the world, that particular race is always hardest on its own race. White people are hardest on white people. Black people are hardest on black people. On down the line, that's just the way society and human beings have worked out. But I looked at the death rate for real. All right, number one, first and foremost, is health, and it's mostly controllable health just by diet. So look at what's cool for you to eat. Look at the stereotypical food, all the pork, all the bacon, all the fried foods, all the chickens, all these things that's bad for the heart and the liver. Did you know that a large portion of black folks die from cirrhosis of the liver, and it gets blamed on drinking? Another stereotype. See, I love to bust the fucking stereotypes, and excuse my language, this is a clean video, but I do. I love busting the stereotypes. Yet, Mr. Gregory happened to point out that 98% is what he said. I found it to be closer to 92, but over 90% of people that die from cirrhosis of the liver didn't even drink. They didn't even drink. And you always think you hear some old black woman or some old black man and they got cirrhosis of the liver, or middle age that's coming out in the middle age groups, and it's skyrocketing numbers. You need to pay attention to this, because you ain't got but one liver and you got to have it. People be back behind that after the funeral going, oh, I didn't know she was a closet drinker. She must have been drinking at night before she went to bed or something, and never even drank. You just thought it because you automatically thought cirrhosis of the liver, that's a drinker's disease, which it is. but that ain't the people that die from it don't even, most of them, 90%, 9 out of 10 don't even drink. And especially at any kind of level to get cirrhosis, and some of them not at all. Most of them not even at all. So the stereotype of how you're dying, or how you're dying, the reality, doing the math, that's a big percentage. Heart disease, all right, heart disease. Come on, y'all, wrap a piece of bacon around your heart. Now the thing about it is, I ain't gonna tell you how to eat. That's up to you. That's for everybody to decide. There's so many conversations about it, but there are healthy ways of eating, and some actually religious groups out there. I'm gonna give a little shout out to the Seventh-day Adventists. They have a really good diet. They pay attention to their diet. But black folks in certain ought to pay attention to their diet. And here's what I learned. I've seen people where they eat that junk food every day. Listen, when I first worked at Pratt Whitney, they had a little store down the street. I'm a young man in my 20s now, and healthy as could be. I was healthy as could be. But we only had 30 minutes for lunch, and it was a little bit of a drive. So we drove down there, and most of the time they just had a nice little deli. But that guy was always pulling out that fried chicken for dinner at night for people to come buy that fried chicken. So I ate fried chicken for a long time. And that's another stereotypical food, by the way. But I was eating it every night because it was cheap, it was good, and I loved it. Within 3 months, I got duodenitis in my stomach. A young man. And they tried to say it was from, working and all. I handled my job, everything. My family life was good. They were like, well, you got anxiety. I'm like, no, actually, no, I don't. It was from my diet. Learned to control my diet, and I've learned to control that. It's never gone away, but I've learned not to overeat. But that's me. That's not the point of this. Your diet is easily controlled. There are literally millions of health people out there that can get a diet specific to you. But just look at the main things. And my point is, because I love some creature comforts. I don't see nothing wrong with having something here and there. And that's keeping the balance. Get healthy. Go through it's not even a rough period. Fast one day a week. Just don't eat nothing. But get your health right first. And then when you want to enjoy something, enjoy it. But remember that a lot of these foods, this ties in with the fake food and the GMO food, and the FDA always letting this restaurant get away with that, and they can put all this in our food and all this in our Coca-Cola and all this. Look at how much of the stuff in those foods, are bad primarily for the black population, for black folks. Bad for where their heart disease comes from, where they're dying from. The salt, the pork, the refined sugar. The things that you had, a dollar store has become the number one source of food for America. Excuse me, I got a bad cold. The dollar store has become the number one source of food for America because it's cheap food, but every single bit of it's processed food. Every single bit of it ain't worth a damn, no good to you. The big mega stores, they're getting their food from big old farms, super farms, and these super giant greenhouses, like the Green Circle growers I saw up there in Ohio. So some of that you got to pay attention to. I don't know. I guess it's because the black folks I saw growing up was poor, but they always had gardens. They was always making their own food. They always ate themselves, and they always lived to be over 100. I'm not talking about just living up into their 90s. Many of these people that were elders to me, and many of these people that I visited and came back and saw all my life, sit on porch with them, do everything, eat dinner. I love these folks. Lived up to be over 100. Dozens of them, y'all. And that matter of fact, look at you, super rich, white elite. You don't see these Rockefellers die until they're over 100 years old. They know what to eat. They know that this garbage they're making money off of, your death, our death, by giving us something for 99 cents and telling us it's actually it's meat and bread and everything. Even eating things together. You watch a little kid, they'll give them a hot dog, and they'll take the hot dog out of the bun and eat the hot dog and then eat the bun. There's a lot of natural things that they've taken away from us. That causes the confusion. That causes the depression. That causes the anger. Did you know all those three things right there also cause lung problems? Black folks are having major respiratory illnesses right now. Our children in general, all children in America, or about 51% have a chronic illness, and most of those are respiratory illnesses. So this new thing, COPD, is killing black folks in big numbers. So your health But now I'm going to point the one out that nobody wants to hear about. I'm going to give you the brief history of it and tell you the truth about it. But listen, before they politicize abortion, and that's what this next thing's going to be about. This next conversation, and I'm going to tell you, since everybody's got to say where they stand on it. The thing is, abortion was never illegal if there was a reason to have the abortion. It was morally challenged. Doctors could say no. Doctors have always been what? They've been authority figures. Just because they're wearing a doctor's smock and got a stethoscope around their neck, you jump through hoops if they told you it'd make you feel better. So doctors are authority figures, and they said, oh, this is bad and all this. They didn't want to do it, and it got politicized. It was mainly a way of controlling population in another way. When you make it immoral to have abortions, or even illegal, like Russia and China have actually done in the past, you're trying to grow a population of people. And that's the best way to do it, through procreation. Like the black folks should be paying attention to that 12.9 and only 2.9% being children. How the children go, come on, see what I'm saying? That math is important. That's why they dumbing y'all down. But the abortion issue, everybody thinks it became a right and a privilege to a woman back in 73, I reckon, with the Roe versus Wade decision. Well, in all reality, the federal government, who looks at statistics for years ahead, y'all, they watch our growth, they watch trends, they see how things are going to go. They study us just like a farmer studies his cows or his hogs or his sheep. They study us human beings, they're tax slaves, and they study us like laboratory rats. And they saw where there was going to possibly be, in the late 80s and early 90s especially, there was going to be this generation of urban youth, primarily black youth, that were just going to have no jobs, nothing to do. They knew what they had for the 90s, for people to work and everything. They thought, oh, this new population thing was just going to be a devastating blow to the big cities, to the upper middle class and the super rich, going to have to worry more and more about. They had even had movies about it. Y'all remember that movie called The Warriors, where all the gang members met up? One gang member, a leader named, I think, Cyrus or something, said that they were the power, they were the people, so they could run it, and they were going to take it over. Well, they were afraid of something like that happening. So the Roe versus Wade decision was made, which made abortion legal, which it was never illegal it's definitely for health reasons. But the clicker, how they got more cigarette smokers, how they got more workers, is by making it a woman's right. Whether it's a woman's right or not, that's for y'all to decide. I don't live in that world. I live in a natural world. I don't have to make decisions like that. I think those decisions make themselves. But as I said, if you look at it as what it was meant to be, what abortion was really meant to be, and making it such a big deal and making it a right. Like I said, a right. Because when you give somebody a right and then you say, well, I don't think you should be able to do that. Well, it's my right. I can do it. Now somebody might do it any damn way, just because it's their right and somebody says they shouldn't do it. Just because somebody, oh, well, you shouldn't have an abortion. Well, it's my right. Oh, well, I'm going to get rid of this baby now. Just to show you. No, that's how this turned out to be. But it turned out to be, in reality, population control. They can't kill you, so they gave you an outlet and a mind fuck to kill yourself. They can't control your population, so they allow you to control your population by killing your own children, your own procreation, your own future. Okay, no matter how you look at it, and mainly over a birth control thing or a right issue, not a health issue, not a real reason to do it. And then they let you poison yourself by putting, you think having a liquor store on every corner is bad in black neighborhood? Look at how many Popeyes are, and then right across the street will be a Church's right next door to a KFC. Look at all the sorry food choices that they give you that surround you. Just look, like I said, do the math. Do the math. Go look at these places. Like I said, Popeyes, KFC, look at their demographics for picking a restaurant, and then look at McDonald's demographics for how they choose to pick a restaurant, or somebody comes and says, I want to buy into the McDonald's franchise, and I got this corner right here. Well, they'll look at it before they loan you the money to do it or let you put up their little sign. Now, also look at where the Applebee's are placed at. Look at where the Bonanza, the Texas Longhorn Steakhouses. Look where all them restaurants are put at. You see, you get it now? They give you fast food. Look where all the dollar stores are. All right, and look how they turned all them dollar stores into little grocery stores. They got a cooler section, and you can get some milk and everything. Look at where it come from. Ain't a one of that stuff come from your local community. You can't find local honey in a dollar store. You can't find local honey in a Walmart. That bothers me, because honey from somewhere else is just honey. It's medicine when it's from around your area, because you get your bees pollination. I get that might be over some people's head, but just look at the food and where it comes from. Look at how you're killed. Do the math. Look at the numbers, whether you think the numbers are jacked up or not. Look, I get so much shit back about when I say something about the U.S. Census, and everybody's like, well, the 77% white, they're letting Hispanics do this, and the black, they're keeping that down, they're not telling you the truth. I'm just going with the numbers that they're showing, and the real problem is, like, why can't Black America get a real good foothold in America and take their part of America that belongs to them and live? So you're being controlled by the mind to hate and to blame, and you're being killed and kept at a certain population while you sit there and hate and blame. You get it now? I was talking to a fellow from Chicago when I was in the pokey, and this is my cellmate. So there's a lot of nights when can't nobody sleep, so you sit up there and you're talking and wait for the breakfast train to come up. And this guy was getting real down on some of that. And I had to get hardline with him one time. I said, man, you sound to me like the old fellas I used to hear that would be right outside the liquor store, and they're sitting there getting drunker than hell, and they're complaining about everything, including the liquor store being on the corner, and why do we got so many liquor stores? But you're sitting right out front drinking, complaining about it. Some things you got to stop and say, wow, that is true. Men in my own group of people, elders like Dick Gregory, have come out and said we're being systematically murdered, that we are being kept down. The one thing Dick Gregory says, though, that I don't agree with is he always says it's over. It's over. And somebody says, well, what can we do about this? He says, nothing, it's over. I'll never believe that. I guess I'm just a dumb, big-hearted kind of guy like that. I love too much. I see solutions. I think some energy, the energy that even he talks about and many of you know about, the positive energy. I think we can stave off certain destruction. I think we can stave off definitely hunger and poor food and poor water. I think we can stop a lot of the racial prejudices through knowing who the real enemy is, not looking at each other with these eyes and seeing a white brother or seeing a black brother or seeing a Chinese brother and stereotyping that. I break the stereotypes. And you know what? I find it easier every day to break stereotypes just by speaking simple truths, just by reminding you, because I don't ever tell you, if I ever told y'all anything new, I ain't never told you nothing new. I remind you and put things in certain perception and order for you to look at and decide things you already know or feel in your heart. Because what you've done worse in your own life, and this is especially the Black American, is you quit trusting in yourself. You quit looking to yourself for leadership. You quit looking to yourself to answer questions. You quit looking to yourself on the direction and guidance that you need to take to repair the things, or just to make your life easier, because life's very hard for all of us, and we're all being killed in some kind of way by people that think they're better than us, the real true enemy, the real true racists, the real true bigots, and this mega rich that just think that play with us like toys and pawns, y'all. That's the enemy, because they're an enemy to life. Their life comes from feeding off our life, maybe even really feeding off us, as some of them seem to be very satanic and evil type of people, and have no value of human life. These are the people that steal children. These are the people that hurt children. These are the people that keep the wars going, or keep the poison food going right down your throat. They do nothing about the water, because we got to do something about the water, y'all. We got to do something about the food, and we got to do something about this disconnect between our people, our souls. There ain't no color in the soul. I done told y'all this before, and you know that as well. So I like to come at you at the level of speaking from the soul, and that has to deal with talking true, pure truth. The truth that is so blatant that nobody really wants to believe it. The Palestinians aren't the only group of people on the planet being controlled and murdered systematically. The black man in America is the black folks down in certain other colonized areas. They are, and it's not the white man doing it. It's not like you think, It's brainwashed, almost like brainwashed soldiers in some kind of war we don't even know about. I don't even know why they do. There must be some level, at a spiritual level, of why these things happen to certain groups of people. I will say that, because I can see no reason to hurt anybody, especially the groups of people that live on what we call the continent of North America, and especially in the United States. But as far as we've come, as educated as we're supposed to be towards human rights, as much as we bicker and bitch about what's right and wrong, all we ever had to do was live it. All we ever had to do was live what is right or wrong. So as somebody that understands the plight and empathizes with every bit of this, the solution is knowing who your enemy is. And you got to do that by following the money. You got to do that by doing the math, by paying attention to many, many statistics, not just a few indicators. None of this is easy. Keeping up with your own demise is not easy, but it should be the first thought on your mind. You want to live, right? I want to live. I think we should all be able to live free and be free and die living in an area that's free to live on a planet that's free to live on, that we're paying for it. This can only come through us understanding that each one of us, what I love to call we the people in our tribe, are not the enemy to each other. We're the brothers and sisters it's going to take. We're the unity and the brotherhood they fear to bring all this around, and everybody get to live the way that they're supposed to live, which is the way they want to. So do the math. Pay attention to the numbers. Look at the real reasons why they've done things like abortion. Y'all, and by the way, the comment I made about abortion being used for population control, basically killing the criminal before the criminal is born. Read the paperwork on it. All that's been declassified. There's many articles out there. It's the same reason why they put the woman in the workforce, was to get more tax money and to divide the family unit farther. There's also the reason why they got them smoking to begin with in the 1920s. And Edward Bernays showed them women walking down the street smoking a cigarette in the Easter parade, calling it torches of freedom. When they make something a right, it makes you fight for it harder, because you think that's something given to you and nobody's going to take it back. Well, here's the thing you got the right to live, and you got the right to coexist with people around you, or you got the right to live in what they gave you. Do you like living in what they gave you? Do you like being targeted by rich people, by super mega elite that think they're so much more powerful and better than us, and being targeted by them and being called ungodly, given ungodly labels like minority or lesser or even privileged, because we're all slaves to them. And that's another big point. And I want to end this on and tell y'all, every single one of us in America that are not in that billionaire club are slaves, or we work for them. So think about that. Nobody is ever at their level. They're never going to take me as a white man and anybody out there of any melanated color or race whatsoever and see us as any different. They're just going to see different levels of money that we could possibly make them using that Social Security number and that federal income tax by taking half your paycheck. That's the slavery in America today. That's where we've gotten to in 2018, where we murder one race and keep them down because they don't make as much as the other. But they're all still slaves. So they're just killing the slaves that they want to kill. Think about that, y'all. And be real. It's a day into age to be real about what's going on with you and what's going on with many people. Like I said, I do most of what I do out of love for people that helped me as a small child. And I've never forgotten those that's taken care of me. But that's not the overall reason. The thing is, the only reason evil exists is because good men don't do nothing about it. And where I may not be a good man, I'm a damn good brother. And I'll tell you the truth. So think about that. I love you. Peace. Know and do the math. And don't live in fear.